All right, and welcome back to another episode of the Sports Department Podcast. I'm Justin Valentinovic, joined by Stephen Bologna and Stephen Clark, and we're here to talk about the NFL offseason, and the new league year has officially started. It is Wednesday, March 16th. It's nighttime, so all the moves that happened in the illegal tampering period are now official. So here we are. We're going to talk about, the more significant moves. We're not going to the minutia and all the insignificant deals. Yeah, but some teams made some headlines. Surprising teams like the Jaguars, they went bonkers and spent a lot of money. Other teams with a lot of money, the Colts, they didn't do anything. And Washington seems to be cutting a lot of starters and not really replacing too many of them. So we'll get into all of the free agent moves. But before we do that, guys, what's going on?
Life goes on. It's going well. How are you, Justin? That's the real question.
Good. I'm hanging in there. Life.
He's hanging in there.
Yeah.
Life.
I'm doing good. We have a nice little mix of MLB free agency and NFL. So
I know.
It's been a good week.
It's a good week to be a sports fan. Yeah.
Because I was just trying to make the rundown for this and try to find the more important moves to talk about. I'm like, oh, fuck, I got to do a baseball one for this now too, and find all those transactions. As news is slowly coming through now that they can actually make moves again. So let's talk about some quarterbacks who could very well be on the move before we get into the teams and players who actually are with their new teams, and that's Deshaun Watson and Baker Mayfield. So they're kind of linked together, but not really. So since Deshaun Watson was not going to be criminally indicted on all 22 charges against him in the sexual assault cases, the free agent rumor for trades and everything have started to heat up, and they are coming to a breaking point. It seems like it will be a team considered of the Browns, Falcons, Saints, Panthers, and I think those are the major four. So of those landing spots, which ones do you think are most likely?
Ones that aren't in the AFC. I believe Watson obviously doesn't want to go in division. We saw that come out. Doesn't want to go in conference, I would say, out of respect, I would say, to the Texans and all that. So I think Panthers have a really good shot. The Saints, their cap room is iffy and not fun, but
where there's a will, there's a way.
Exactly. I don't know. I like the Saints. I can see the Saints somewhere in that division. Saints and Falcons are my two. Honestly, anyone in that division except for Tampa.
Because Brady's back. That's also happened since last podcast. Oh God.
This is just like the first time ever that I can remember, not someone who's not a free agent is literally like picking and choosing where he gets traded to.
Okay, because he has a no trade clause in, and he has to waive the no trade clause of where he wants to go. But at the same time, the Texans, right, they can work with him. Say he wants to go to the Falcon, or say he's hell-bent on only going to the Browns for whatever reason, right? In theory, yes, the Texans can waive and work on a deal with him, but if they don't want to send him in the AFC, they can simply say they're not getting back the assets that they think are worth him. So they could block him that way as well and kind of counteract where he wants to go at the same time. So that's why I think more than likely he'll end up in the NFC South.
I think the Browns is the best fit because they're kind of win now. They're built for
any of the teams that get him honestly will be a playoff contender with him, I think, because he willed the Atlanta. He willed the Texans team. Look at where that Falcons team is compared to where his Texans team were, and he willed them to the playoffs as a wild card
Ridley less. Falcons,
yeah, but then the same team that 2 years ago went 4-12.
I agree. They also traded Hopkins. But yeah.
Well, no, was that he was without Hopkins? No.
Wasn't he without Hopkins for a year? I don't know. We're not.
I think that was last year when he was obviously not playing.
Maybe.
Yeah. So I think if the Browns are smart, they'd really go all for this, and because clearly they're not going to have a quarterback even if they don't get him. So. And you really can't salvage the relationship when your quarterback going on social media and saying goodbye. So the Panthers, they've, inside sources telling me that they've been really going hard for a superstar quarterback. So I could see them kind of giving up the house for him. It's just so funny that, and if Brady doesn't come back, most likely we see Tampa Bay in this mix as well.
All four teams in the South needed him, basically.
Yeah. So it's whoever.
If I had to guess, I think it's going to come down to the Saints and the Panthers.
I say
I'm
Panthers.
going with Saints. Saints is my one right now.
Mainly
I think.
because even if the Falcons move on from Matt Ryan, once they get Deshaun Watson, in theory, they're still taking on a lot of dead money. So at that point, you're better off keeping him. And Falcons and Panthers, or not Falcons, the Saints desperately need a quarterback now to compete, especially because Brady's back. Because originally it was like, oh, the Falcons have the best quarterback. You know, it makes sense to hold on Matt Ryan. They could win this division easy because who the hell knows what the other teams are doing. Here comes Tommy. He's back. So now it's like, oh, fuck, we actually have to get a legitimate quarterback.
Yeah.
So I think he'll be a Saint. In due time.
Pro Football Talk said 21 minutes ago, Panthers, Saints, Browns, and Falcons all impressed Deshaun Watson. He is quote unquote torn of where he wants to go. There's no timetable. It could come soon, but could take a few days.
I think it's going to be New Orleans. I think it fits perfect for him.
And let me tell you,
fun city.
Josina Anderson's reporting that because she's like good friends with a lot of the athletes.
Yeah.
A lot of them are waiting to sign based on like Teron Armstead's probably the biggest one. If Watson goes to the Saints, he'll come
try
right
to
back
rework a deal and come back. Yeah, exactly. So someone whose their future is not really directly tied, we thought at first, to Deshaun Watson is Baker Mayfield. Is yesterday he posted on social media basically a thank you and goodbye to Cleveland, as it seemed.
Yeah.
That regardless, and now we have a Chris Morrison report coming out that regardless of what happens with Deshaun Watson, if they get him or not, the Browns
report basically.
He handed it to Mort. So it seems like the Browns, air quote, want a adult at quarterback, and they're tired of Baker. So it seems like regardless, he is out in Cleveland. Now, if they whiff on Deshaun Watson, who is their backup plan? Because not too many better options than what you can get with Baker at this point. Maybe Jimmy G, maybe
go Jimmy G, go Mariota. You go with the Colts we're going to until Baker came into the conversation.
It seems like everyone's similar to like how Rodgers, like right when he, said he was going back to Green Bay, it's like, oh, the Broncos made their move, right? It seems like wherever Watson goes, teams are going to put their plans in motion, because you got to assume if they're going to dump Baker, it's like, okay, are they going for now Jimmy G in Cleveland, or are they going for Mariota? Then if that case, are the Colts slow playing and waiting for Baker to come, to them if Cleveland is going to dump them, or are they going to try to pursue Jimmy G more at that point?
For the Browns, I think it's tough because I feel for Baker. I mean, he never.
This man was literally ended the curse of the jersey on Twitter with 1,000 names on it, and won a playoff game and beat the Steelers of all teams. And they are running this man out of town.
Yeah.
To be fair, other than that, he hasn't lived up to first overall pick hype, but he's been solid.
I think that's the problem. Yeah.
He's been solid. Where he goes and who they think's better. Jimmy G, obviously, he's more of an established veteran. Mariota's been. It's tough for Mariota.
But see, Mariota's kind of going to the Trubisky effect, right? Trubisky went away for a little bit, and everyone was head over heels about Trubisky because we haven't seen him. So it's like, oh, maybe he still has that talent in him. That's kind of where Mariota, I feel, falls. And it's been 2 years since he's been a starter.
You would think, though, if his market was so high, he would have signed by now.
Well, maybe teams are just waiting to see what happens with Watson, right?
Yeah,
probably.
Maybe those teams in on Watson, I would assume if they're pursuing him, haven't made formal offers to Mariota, because it's like, well, shit, what if Mariota signs, then you trade for Watson, now you're stuck with two quarterbacks, and here we are again.
Let's think who needs a QB here. The Saints, obviously.
Panthers.
Falcons necessarily don't. Panthers, yes. Seattle still needs a quarterback. The Colts need a quarterback. So, I mean, you got to assume
the Seattle's running out Drew Lock. I'll tell you that right now, unless they draft someone.
Jimmy G is going to be on one team. You assume Baker moves. Other than that, unless he goes to Atlanta, Matt Ryan staying put. So it's really important who Watson goes to here. And then if Baker would be a good name to go get, because he's still young. I know you have to pay him at the end of the season, but I mean, you could probably, unless he wants like Lamar money.
And, the rumors circling around on his trade list, the Colts are definitely up there on his priority.
I heard they were number one.
They are number one right now.
It makes sense for him to kind of go there. They have a good running game, good offensive line, pretty good defense. We'll talk about what they made. It fits what he succeeded with in Cleveland. So, what they're going to ask him to do probably won't change too much, considering they didn't ask much of Wentz. Just a matter of if Baker can make those plays when it falls on his shoulders will be the deciding factor if he sticks around with the Colts if he were to go there for a while.
What's the asking price, you think, for Baker?
I think
at least a third.
It sounds like they just want to get rid of him. So I would assume a
third and a player,
third and a 5, third and a player. Maybe.
Here's the thing. If they get Watson, they'll just dump him for nothing. If
Yeah.
they don't, they might want like as high as like a 2.
I'd give it
2 or 3
easily.
I mean, 1, 2 straight up, yeah. But like if they want like a 2 and a 3, screw that.
Yeah.
So
unless you're desperate, so
which the Colts are.
We're desperate.
Indeed, we are. So we hit on Brady coming back. Great. He was retired for 40-something days.
Yeah, he said, screw my family.
Shorter than an MLB lockout, but here he is. He's coming back for year 23, his age 45 season. And the Bucks are the favorites to win the South yet again.
And everyone re-signed, basically.
Yep, they all came crawling back to him. Great. Lucky us.
That's funny, but
lucky us.
NFL's rigged if he wins a championship, which is probably going to happen.
It's insane.
He has to go out with a championship. If he doesn't win it this year,
I think that's literally what he wants to do, because he said in his tweet, unfinished business. Dude, what unfinished business do you have?
He wants to retire on a chip.
Facts.
No one's even coming close to taking his passing records for another 20 years, probably, but whatever. I hate him. So let's get into a few free agent moves. The main team that made a splash into free agency and spent a whole boatload of money that we didn't necessarily see going this way. We expected to make some moves to help their young quarterbacks. That's the Jacksonville Jaguars. You know, they got Doug Peterson, year 2, Trevor Lawrence. They kind of see what the Bengals did, where they got at least, solid veterans around Burrow, especially on the defensive side, to help them out. And the Jaguars went in and signed Darius Williams from the Rams, Evan Ingram from the Giants, Brandon Sheriff from the Football Commanders, whatever they want to call him. And the most astonishing is Christian Kirk, to I think it was a 4-year deal, right?
Stupid.
84
million, which could come out to roughly about $21 million a year for a guy who hasn't had 1,000-yard season. He's a very good wide receiver, but not worth number 3 in the NFL money receiver. If he's getting 21 million, what do you think Devontae Adams just turned and went to the Packers and said, I need more than that?
28 to 30 at least. If he declined 23, maybe he dips down to 25, but he's going to want the house.
Yeah. No, great moves. Also, they did a franchise tag with Cam Robinson, which kind of shows you the direction they're going with in the draft then, because you don't really need
and they still a first overall pick too.
Exactly.
They're in a very good place.
So they'll build up their D line a little bit now, probably, and with their first overall pick. Their offense is looking great. I mean, protect Lawrence, build around Lawrence. That's great that they're doing that. They're learning from past mistakes with other, Andrew Luck and all that nonsense. Yeah, no, they're setting themselves up really nicely for the future. I like these moves a lot.
Yeah, they're good. They're filling holes. Let's not forget too, they still have Travis Etienne, who got hurt last year.
God, that's right.
So he's going to be a good RB2 with Lawrence. The Scherf deal hurts me, but at the same time, you make him the highest paid guard in history. He's going to miss 5, 6, 7 games a season. Well, he's going to miss a lot of games a season. So I hope they understand that. I mean, we'll see, but the Kirk deal is just atrocious.
That's the one bad.
I would have tried to get Allen Robinson back for that money.
That killed that inflated the wide receiver market insanely. It's ridiculous. So let's reel it back and go to the Buffalo Bills, who today were very active, and they thought they had JD McKissick primarily, and they do not, because he went back to Washington. So you're happy about that. But if losing JD McKissick means you get Von Miller for 6 years and OJ Howard for a year, that's well worth it. And Von Miller's getting paid $20 million for 6 years, which is an absolute insane amount of money, considering everyone thought he was washed in Denver and was sent to, the Rams in his twilight of his career to try to be a productive member of that defense, ends up winning a Super Bowl. And it's amazing how they rehabbed him and he got another massive deal.
I'm shocked for 6 years. It's a long time.
I thought maybe
he's up there too.
3 maybe.
Yeah. 6 years.
Yeah. Like you said, blue balled the Broncos, so that stinks for them. But cool. The Bills defense, man.
They're paying him till he's 38.
Yeah, that Bills defense was one of, if not the best defense in the league last year. adding a nice edge rusher and Von Miller like that, they're going to be scary. And like again, like you said, OJ Howard, a nice tight end duo they have too, along with their Diggs and all these other receivers they have. They're up there for a favor to get to the Super Bowl next year. I
They
like Buffalo.
do need a running back though to dress it in either the draft or free agency.
Return of the Mac.
That's exactly what I was thinking. The McKissick signing would have been nice for him because it gives Allen at least options to dump it off to a running back, or at least a capable running back to take a few handoffs.
I can't believe that he dipped on him
and went
Washington.
back and went back. Yeah, and went back. That's the more shocking part for me, at least. But
let's play it once.
Well, what I've kind of read was there was a miscommunication where Washington thought that like he signed and Washington was like, oh, well, we wanted to match the offer. And then McKissick's like, oh, I thought you weren't, like, I thought you guys just didn't want to match the like, so not to get off track, but
yeah,
it definitely hurts Buffalo, but they've made some good moves. Yeah.
So
running back so easy to replace.
Yeah. And they could easily draft a capable one there. This is a very good draft. So maybe like Breece Hall? He's the one from Iowa, right?
Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones.
Yeah. So Baltimore Ravens bolstered up their defense a bit.
Oh,
they brought back Zadarius Smith 4 years, $50 million. He took a brief detour, went to Green Bay, and he came back. I loved it on Twitter. Me, it was like his first look of Zadarius Smith in a Ravens uniform. It was just him in his old Ravens gear. And they signed Marcus Williams from the Saints for a 5-year deal. So they get a nice safety on the back end of their defense as well. And they are locked, reloaded, and ready to go for the North.
This is the best defense in the league, I think. I mean, they are just loaded. I mean, Wink Martindale leaving is going to be interesting, but you have a loaded defensive line. You get a fully healthy Marlon Humphrey. You get Marcus Peters back. You already have now Marcus Williams, Chuck Clark. Don't want to get Jesse mad. Patrick Queen, Calais Campbell. I think they still do need to re-sign, and he's interested in going back. But these are good moves, and it's going to be dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have nothing else to say with that. Good moves, good defense. Yeah.
Cool. So, as we knew, the free agent signing tampering period began Monday at noon, and at 12 o'clock and 30 seconds into the tampering period, Alex Kappa signed immediately with the Cincinnati Bengals. So they're getting a guard to help out with that offensive line, and good on them. Didn't they sign someone else on the offensive line, I think, too?
Ted Karras, I think.
Yes, he's a center. So they signed 2 offensive linemen so far. So that's 2 better offensive linemen they had last year. So the Bengals are doing all the right things so far.
That's all they got to do. Just protect Burrow, please. I mean, look at the Jaguars, like I talked about. They're protecting Lawrence nicely. Trade for more. Sign some more free agents. Protect Burrow. They're going the right direction, though.
Yeah, agreed.
Cool. So in the AFC North, the Browns, who we talked about earlier before, they cut Jarvis Landry, traded for Amari Cooper, and I thought, oh, maybe that means they want to keep Baker. They want to get, a younger, better wide receiver to work with them, maybe get some chemistry. They're also cutting Austin Hooper as well, which is shocking. That's a June 1st cut, so he'll hit the market then. Don't know what the hell they're doing now with this move.
I mean,
better hope you got Watson. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, because I don't know who's throwing to Amari right now. It might be Jimmy G or Mariota. So, but Jarvis getting cut's big. That'd be interesting to see where he signs.
He would be great for Kansas City to work the middle of the field with Kelsey, work the numbers to the sideline while Tyreek's just busting downfield. That would be a perfect.
I don't know what they
could
pay him. I know Rappaport reported today they're gearing up for an extension with Tyreek.
Maybe Jarvis wants to reunite with Baker and Indy.
They hate each other.
I think the Rams go back with Odell.
I think he definitely signs back there for sure.
Jarvis, Odell, and
because Odell put on Twitter come join me or something like that. But
that's
I know he's visiting the Falcons. Weirdly enough, I don't know.
Honestly, they need
just a receiver, any wide receiver.
So if he wants to be the starter receiver on the team, that's where you got to go. Yeah.
So our team was in the news finally, Clark, considering this whole time this week, they haven't done shit. And 2 moves kind of came within seconds of each other. The first being that the Raiders signed Chandler Jones to, I don't remember how long of a contract. So it's like, oh, that's a really good pass rush of Yannick Ngakoue, Max Crosby, and Chandler Jones down. Then ding, ding, ding. Here comes another Twitter notification. Rock Yassin was traded from the Colts to the Raiders for Yannick Ngakoue. So they get a cornerback. Colts get a good pass rusher. And the Raiders get some depth on their defense, but this move is very good for the Colts because they get a young pass rusher who had 10 sacks last year, and now their D-line looks a little bit better than what it was last year of now Buckner, Kwity Paye, and now Yannick Ngakoue. Obviously, you take a hit at corner, but I would rather get there are better there's better corners on the market right now than there are pass rushers. So to get a productive, good young pass rusher is definitely better, and I'll sacrifice a corner for that any day.
Yeah, I mean, Casey Hayward's still out there. I mean, that'd be a nice little addition. But I'm gonna miss Rock. Rock was a good piece. He had his best season this year, right? Yeah,
and that's why I'm okay with letting him go because we have to pay him next year. And it's like, he had 3 years or 2 years of mid-tier to bad play to a good year this year to it's like, okay, what is he exactly? And with that uncertainty, I'm glad we're getting something more certain in return.
So other than Kenny Moore, what's the corner room looking like?
Isaiah Rodgers. No, Rhodes is also a free agent as well.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
So,
I mean, Ngakoue is great. Don't get me wrong. He's a really good pass rusher. Losing corner depth hurts when that is probably the biggest need on your team.
Yeah,
but I think they don't make this move knowing that they're going to try to make a run, something in mind. Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
I heard the same thing from my team today, Justin. Got nothing out of it. So,
hey, might not be today. Might not be tomorrow.
You got McKissick back.
That's fine. That's it. We got him and Bobby McCain. That's it.
Then you cut Landon Collins, cut Eric Flowers out of
left guard, starting strong safety, 2 backup D tackles gone. Don't get me started.
So let's talk about the Commanders since we're on them already. They have Carson Wentz. They traded 2 3s and swapped a second-round pick with the Colts this year. And
we got a 7th. And we got a 7th.
And $28 million in salary as well. So you get your quarterback at least for this year, and it could be a bridge. It definitely probably won't be long-term, but at least you have something that's not Taylor Heineke at quarterback.
Yeah. I like the move, considering now teams are just scrambling for any kind of quarterback.
Well, that's the thing. People were ready to kill, it's Carson Wentz. He was ass and, Indy didn't do much. They lost to Jaguars, blah, 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 blah. He threw 27 touchdowns and 7 picks. That was great from what he was when he first came there. He threw 13, 14 the year prior, so to cut that in half. But it's just stability. Like you said, teams are scrambling for a quarterback. When the music stops, you don't want to be the team without one. And at least you have something.
I'm excited. This is the best quarterback we've had since Cousins. Hopefully we can get Terry the ball more. Getting McKissick back helps. Got to address the offensive line a little bit more. But Wentz, today was his first day in Richmond.
Officially.
Yeah. Yes. He looked like he looked excited. He looked happy, which makes me happy. He is back to wearing number 11 too, which is cool. So that's hopefully we can
get his mojo back.
Eagle stats. But people want to rip the deal, but this guy's only been in the league 6 years, and was awesome in Philly. Gets hurt. They draft Jalen Hurts out of the blue. It kind of kills the confidence a little bit. Then he goes to Indy, has one of his best years statistically.
Played well, yeah.
Him and the owner don't like each other due to reports. You dump him, and now everyone's like, "Oh, he's done."
If they get to the playoffs, I either beating the Raiders, beating the Jaguars, and if they get fucking railed by the Chiefs, he is still here because they made the playoffs.
Yep.
But the fact that they lost and didn't make the playoffs is the reason he's gone.
Yep.
So I'm excited. I like the move. You got to pay for a quarterback, so that's
you guys paid.
They did
2 third rounders
and a contract.
It's the salary, but
it's the contract.
Well, listen, the fact that we can cut him at the end of this year, no money is awesome.
Yeah,
that is true.
That's the thing. There's no such thing as a bad 1-year deal. Essentially,
imagine the confidence going down if he gets cut by Washington after this year. That poor guy.
He's got to either retire or just take a backup role at that point.
Yeah, that poor guy.
He's then entered Nick Foles territory, which is ironic. So
that's kind of funny.
Speaking of teams paying for a quarterback, the Pittsburgh Steelers found their not necessarily heir apparent, but heir placeholder for whoever the next heir apparent is to Ben Roethlisberger, and they signed Mitchell Trubisky for 2 years, in addition to James Daniels. He's an offensive lineman for 3, and today Miles Jack which is a very shocking cut from the Jaguars, but they have to do something to make able to pay people. And they get another nice linebacker to pay to run with Devin Bush and TJ Watt, a lot of speed. But Trubisky, for the time being, will more than likely be the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. What a sentence.
Yeah, that's rough, honestly. I know people are seeing things, and Dable liked him in Buffalo and all that, and I thought he was going to go with the Giants and follow as the backup there, but that wound up being Tyrod Taylor for the Giants. It should be interesting. I don't know if it'll really work out. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's better than Mason Rudolph and Dwayne Haskins.
That is true.
We think
it will be.
I still think they take Pickett if he's there. Whenever they draft.
And you know what, too? Trubisky, he'll be good enough to get them to 9-8 and get him a wild card spot.
Keep Tomlin's record available.
Yeah, that's what this does. He will keep them afloat enough, which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, haven't really seen him in a year because played on the bench and only came in garbage time, but he wasn't too hot. So sometimes in Chicago over there, but I could have been Nagy. We don't really know 100% what went on with that. So maybe a new starter, really good under a really good head coach. You never know if it turns him around too.
I mean, his last 6 starts with the Bears, he went 5-1, got him into the playoffs, and lost by a touchdown to the Saints in the wild card. So
that's right.
It's an experimental move, but that's why the Steelers are young. I mean, they have a chance. So,
and once again, it's similar. It honestly falls into the Washington category. You need a quarterback. There's not a lot of them. Get one what you can and see what happens.
Yeah, agreed.
So Dolphins, their biggest needs was they wanted to get at least a good running back to complement to it, take some pressure off him. They got 2 of them. First, they signed Chase Edmonds to a 2-year deal, and then today they signed Raheem Mostert. So as long as he's healthy, that is a formidable backfield, if we're being honest. And Teddy Bridgewater
loves Raheem Mostert.
And Teddy Bridgewater signed a 1-year deal to be Tua's backup. So they got some stability behind him, and he goes home. So good moves, though.
Good depth pieces.
Yeah, good depth piece. Exactly. Yeah.
So finally, a team that made 2 big moves is the Los Angeles Chargers. And there's an arms race going out in the AFC West with Russell Wilson coming and officially being a part of the Broncos. You need a good defense. So Chargers said, all right, we're going to do that. They went out and traded nothing for Khalil Mack, so he gets paired with Joey Bosa. And now they have J.C. Jackson, who was the best corner on the market, locked up. So their defense got a whole hell of a lot better with Derwin James and Joey Bosa.
Yeah, I mean, that D-line's insane. Secondary's insane. It's up there for top defense in the league for sure now. I don't really know what else you got to add to that team. Maybe another piece. They signed Mike Williams, maybe, right? They signed Mike Williams.
Yep, 3 years, $60 million. So he got his payday. Wow, Keenan Allen's still there. Dude.
3 years, $60 million off the top of your head. But no, they're sitting pretty right now. Eckler's great. Yep. Herbert's fine.
O-line's
they're sitting
really
pretty
good as well. Half of the teams from freaking Green Bay, and they're positioning themselves to be competitive for the division and be a wild card team.
That's wild because they could be really good and still, be a wild card team.
Well, potentially all 4 teams could come out of the West.
The Raiders are iffy still.
I know. Let's see what they do, but it seems like they're committing to Carr.
Yeah, good for the Chargers to go for it. They need some stability behind Herbert and Mac. The poor Bears, man, to give up all they did for Mac for one good half a year.
Well, his thing is he started breaking down. He wasn't the freak athlete he was in Oakland. So the fact that now at least Bosa will be taking the brunt of the double teams and he should be single blocked at least should hopefully open up a few pass rushing lanes for him. At least he can hopefully maybe return to his old form a little bit.
Yeah, hopefully.
Cool. Any other signings I missed that you guys want to hit on before we wrap up? Anything at all? No? Was there?
Marcus May went to the Saints. All those teams kind of just flip-flop safeties.
The Jets made a crap ton of moves too.
Oh, that's right. They signed CJ Uzama. Yeah. They brought in Langston Tomlinson.
Great moves. Yeah.
Braxton Berrios.
They once again, they're taking, I think the Bengals did a lot of good for the league with showing teams that once you think you have your quarterback and he's the guy and he's on his rookie deal, help him out as fast as possible.
Yeah, I mean,
Joe Douglas is a good GM.
Yes.
yeah,
You know,
he's doing
I'll give him
great.
that.
the
Great
moves he made in this offseason positions them to where they can go heavy defense with their first 2 picks in the first round. You know, they could get Sauce Gardner at 4, and that's a great corner, and they can find a pass rusher in, you know, with their later pick, which would be great to pair with Carl Lawson.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had those early picks, so they're even get better. It just depends on Wilson, honestly. If he can compete.
That's basically what it comes down to. And if they're giving him more help than Sam Darnold ever got. So at least they're doing the right thing for him.
They did
They
more
need a
for
receiver too.
Yeah,
Corey
they
Davis
could
sucks.
maybe they pull the trigger on Jarvis.
Yeah, that could be a good veteran to pair with him.
A-Rob.
Yeah.
He's still out there. There's still plenty of Tyrann Matthew still a free agent. There's a bunch more players that still have to sign.
No, he's not going to be a Saint.
Matthew as a Jet would be very interesting.
That would be a good veteran to have on the back end of that defense. Just kind of be the general across the middle of the field. So when they all sign and when they do, we'll talk about that. We'll have a baseball podcast to talk about the offseason. Maybe we'll start doing division previews. Maybe. I don't know. But if we do, when we get to them, they'll be out. And Clark, where can people listen and watch them?
Yeah, you know, YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify. Follow and subscribe on those social medias and crapper. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at sports.pod. That's sports.dept pod. Justin said what's coming up with baseball and football. Basketball playoffs start soon, so maybe we'll get a couple of playoff preview, do a little prediction for that. Yeah, it's only like 12 games per team left in the season.
Oh crap.
Yeah.
Thank God. My suffering.
I'll see you in the playoff tournament. In the
play-in, baby.
I want a first overall pick, dude.
Yeah, so basketball's coming to an end. I don't think there's any wrestling pay-per-views till NXT and Mania, so nothing there.
Mania.
So we'll get to that when we get
There's
to
no
it.
fast lane this year?
No, we're done.
No.
We're done until when's
weeks.
AEW's next one? Not soon.
They're
probably
post-Mania.
May.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Punjabi prison.
April. So we'll have that in April. NXT Stand and Deliver and WrestleMania. So stay tuned to all that fun stuff, and we'll see you in the next episode.